Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to another live. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And of course, I'll wait a moment or two to say hello to a few folks. And Kristen, how are you? Mike from Wawa Nativity. Mary, good morning to you. Lucy, good morning. Rosa from Montreal. Good morning, Rosa. Susan, nice to have you on with us this morning. Madeleine and Barbara from Nova Scotia. Great to have you guys on. We got a few studies I want to look at this morning. Arlene, Elaine, Len, and Judy from Edmonton, bright and early this morning, watching us live, soon to be podcast. Our buddy, Dr. Troy, good morning to you. Melody, Yolande, how are you? And Beth, good to have you guys on. We always appreciate this very, very much, and we appreciate you guys, and we just love doing the show. Jeanette and Nellie, Jerry, good morning to you from Nouveau Brunswick. Susan, good morning to you. Okay, a couple of studies out, and I'm going to spend some time this morning talking about Parkinson's. So that will be the main theme this morning. Okay, we'll talk about Parkinson's, but I want to do a little follow-up here on a study. The other day, we talked about low levels of testosterone in men. Do you remember that as we talked about that? Men, the study, and Dr. McEwen, a good friend to the program here, from the University of Tennessee, actually, because I sort of was referencing a study that I had seen, and I had it somewhere, but I couldn't find it right at the time, and of course she sent it off to me, and I really appreciate it. I'm just going to read the headlines to you before we spend some time on Parkinson's this morning. Decline. This is men, okay? So we did show the other day on men and testosterone and how estrogen was their, especially after the age of 50, was their dominating hormone. Estrogen should never, ever be a man's dominating hormone. But this was the headline I was talking about: sperm counts. Declining sperm counts around the world could reach zero in 24 years. I mean, the significance of that it's unbelievable. We don't hear about it very much, but it's alarming. I'll just give you a couple of other statistics. 50% of young men are really, they have no ability to produce enough sperm to impregnate. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. It should be around, 1% maybe? But we live in a different world today, and I sort of call this, I call it the Moses plan. So if you're familiar with your Bible at all, Pharaoh wanted to get rid of all men, right? You read the story of that, and he had the his plan was all the Jewish boys would be killed, and they wouldn't survive birth. And he had given out an edict, really, for all the midwives to get rid of boys. Let only the girls survive, okay? That's actually a story in the Bible. So I call this the world's Moses plan. To get rid of boys, to get rid of men. And men are not men. like they used to be. I'm not talking about anything spiritual or at all. I'm talking about physically. And this is a serious issue. And it's one of the reasons because we often, or at least more often, will talk about breast cancer, ladies, and how that is just climbing. Breast cancer is going crazy in terms of numbers. It's frightening. All the money we spend on so-called early detection, not prevention of breast cancer. Never talk about that. They always talk about early detection of breast cancer. Anyways, I'm telling you, breast cancer is not genetic. Breast cancer is lifestyle. It's a combination of three things, in my opinion, and that is elevated insulin, elevated estrogen. Both of those are growth hormones. Combined with what we talked about yesterday, there's always a stress factor. Because cortisol, stress, over a period of time, suppresses the body's immune system. It creates an inflammatory storm. An inflammatory storm, which is very destructive in breast cancer. But I want to bring this back to men for a minute. Because men, 1 out of 4 men in North America will get prostate cancer. Why is that? 1 out of 4. In the 1970s, it was 1 out of 20 men. And if they did get prostate cancer, it was not an aggressive cancer. They died of old age, not of prostate cancer. But prostate cancer is a big issue today, and it all has to do with what we're talking about, and that is where men are no longer men. They have more estrogen than their wives. And this is happening at a much earlier age than it used to happen. And this is destructive, of course, for testosterone. And we talked about the significance of testosterone. Men need to have high optimized levels of testosterone for their heart, for their brain, for their muscles, for just about every organ in the body. You need to have high levels of T. But men often don't. We talked about fat cells yesterday, and fat cells produce, or the day before, maybe, what's today, Wednesday, Monday? We talked about fat cells producing lots of estrogen on their own. There's a lot of factors, but this particular study, this is what I wanted to bring out to you. This particular study on omega-3, taking omega-3 capsules, young boys given, a group was given placebo, the other was given young men, and they measured testosterone. They measured semen counts. They measured free testosterone, and when men were on omega-3, what if, omega-3 oil, their counts went up. Even their free testosterone counts went up. Isn't that incredible, right? So, it's just another study. But again, guys, I'm huge on the diet. You need vitamin S. You need vitamin steak. Why is that? Because it got high levels of DHA, omega-3. You like fish, lots of fish. So good for you. But you know me, I'm big on vitamin S. And guys have got to eat more vitamin S. They need more protein in their diet. They need much less carbohydrate in their diet. So interesting study. So I just brought that out because I saw this yesterday after our program, and I think we did that on Monday. Now, I just got to make a comment about yesterday's program. That was an oh wow moment, okay? where in diabetics, this is diabetics in 2 weeks. I was meditating on that yesterday. This is incredible. Why isn't the world hearing about this? Why isn't the world hearing that in just 2 weeks of lowering carbohydrate intake, in 2 weeks, things got much better for a diabetic. So imagine what it can do for you. These are diabetics. Diabetics that cut their carbs, they get better rapidly. Because the problem with diabetes is food. Simple as that. It's food. And some people more than others, of course. Some people more than others. And we talked yesterday about the lagging indicator. Don't wait for your blood sugars to go high. Don't wait for your blood sugars to go high. As a matter of fact, I wrote some things down. Let me do this for a minute because I think before we get to, I wrote 17. The other day did I get to 17? I know I thought I got near there. No, 13. I wrote 13 things, 13 indicators that you're eating too many carbohydrates, okay? I marked down 13, is probably more. I don't know why I said 17. 13 signs you're consuming too many carbs and you're on your way to metabolic syndrome, okay? You have been gaining weight. You've been gaining weight. You're eating too many carbs. And there's hormones involved, of course. And some things, guys, you cannot control. But one thing you can control is what you put in your mouth every day. So we talked about this, I think, last week. The worst deception in the world is self-deception. Self-deception, right? If you have inflammation in your body is screaming at you, hello, hello, you there, cut your carbs down. Cut your carbs down. High triglycerides, we talk about this all the time. And I don't mind looking at your blood work, but I really appreciate if you send me your triglycerides and your HDL. That's what I really, really want to look at. I'm not saying I don't look at other things, I do. But those are the most important things. It comes from your lipid profile. I want to know how your liver's doing, how your pancreas is doing. I can tell you if you have metabolic syndrome in 5 seconds. All I need to do is look at your triglycerides and your HDL, okay? Low energy. Low energy. You're dragging your butt. If you're dragging low energy, look at the food. That's how your body produces energy. It produces energy from food. And you might think, I need sugar for energy. The worst thing you can do for energy is consume sugar. The worst thing you can do. Because it'll send your blood sugars up. And what goes up must come down. Very simple as that. Burning, think of a wood stove. What's better? Paper and twigs? That's carbs. What's better? Paper and twigs or logs on the fire? That's protein and fat. Okay? It's as simple as that. That's how your body, your little mitochondria in your body, every cell in your body has mitochondria. Your mitochondria, muscle cells, bone cells, they have a little battery pack. They're called mitochondria. They produce ATP. And what you consume will be burned in those mitochondria. You'll produce an energy. You'll get energy from sugar, but it's going to be very short. It'll be short and sweet. Not so sweet. No, really. And it's amazing what happens. It's amazing what happens. And I just tell you, parents and grandparents, if your kid is a low energy kid, there's a good chance there's a good chance they're just eating way too much sugar and way too much carbs. I know kids are weaned on this stuff. I understand it. But I'm telling you, it's a big, big issue in the world today. Kids who've got no energy. And of course, I feel sorry for kids and all this lockdowns and things like that. And my word, I get uptight about it. They need to get out and move, but it's not just exercise. It's what they are eating. Don't start them with cereal their day. The worst thing you can give them. Increase susceptibility to colds. You want to know if you're eating too many carbs? There's nothing that will put your immune system to sleep like sugar. Why aren't we hearing that? Here we have a virus. Here we have a pandemic. And stink. Nobody's talking about what we're eating. And I mentioned this yesterday that, what is it? Let me just see if I can find that study. I talked to you about this yesterday. The American Psychological Association, 6 out of 10 adults are gaining weight in the United States over this period of time. 6 out of 10. The long-lasting effects of this, it drives me crazy, guys. It drives me crazy. Increased susceptibility to colds. Your immune system is going to sleep. You're putting it to sleep when you're eating too many carbohydrates. Slow recovery from injuries and slow recovery from the flu or slow recovery. It's hard to get back up to snuff. And that again is another indicator that your food choices are not good. Acid reflux, we've talked about this in the past. Acid reflux is your body screaming at you, trying to get your attention. Okay? When your stomach has to produce more acidity because you don't have enough, one of the biggest factors in that is the fact that you're a carboholic and you need to flip the diet. Glycation, okay, big word. What do I mean by that? When you get, and this could go with some slow recovery too, really, but I was thinking about this yesterday as I wrote this list down. Tendinitis. A lot of people get, there's a commercial and I kind of laughed because I heard it on the radio and it said, do you have bursitis, tendinitis, plantar fasciitis? And it went after about 8 or 9 different itises, for plantar fasciitis and this and that. Guys, I'm not telling you that injuries don't have an effect on that, but a lot of times it's what you're eating. It's called glycation. It's called glycation end products. It's really oxidation, even of the muscles and the tendons. And they're easily injured. They're easily ripped. This has a lot to do with food. Food is medicine. Switch your foods. Increase liver enzymes. And of course, this is something you would get in blood tests and in liver enzyme. But if your liver, I saw blood work yesterday and the liver enzymes were elevated. Well, I know right away they got fatty liver. Their liver's not functioning properly. And, sometimes meds can do that too, where you get certain things happening with medication, and I understand all that. But most of the time, it's food. Increase in homocysteine. Any number above 8 in homocysteine. Why does Dr. Martin look at that? Well, because, and they don't do it enough. They don't do that test, but it is a good indicator of inflammation. Homocysteine. And it's a test that doctors should be automatic doing because it tells you a lot about, You know how you get all your, and one of the things, if you got low levels of high levels of homocysteine, it means you don't have enough B vitamins. Guess where you get your B vitamins in food, guys? Where do you get B12? B12 is the most important of all your B vitamins. Vitamin S, steak. B12 is found only in red meat. Poor circulation. Poor circulation. Why do you think diabetics have such a problem with circulation? First thing that's injured, as your glucose levels are going up, even if they're not beyond normal yet, first things that are injured is circulation, the blood vessels, the Teflon layer of your blood, the slipperiness of your blood vessels. Food. Poor sleep. You're not sleeping well. Sleep apnea. Fatty tongue syndrome. You know I made that up, right? Try and go and find the podcast, I don't remember what number it would be, on fatty tongue syndrome. That's true. You get fatty tongue from eating carbs, not from talking too much, okay? I was talking to a Chinese lady the other day, and she could hardly understand me. And I didn't understand her too well either, okay? She was trying to tell me something in English, but she said something that was hilarious, okay? She said, you, meaning me. She said, you, mouth big. And I just about passed out. I was laughing so hard. She didn't understand why I was laughing so hard, but instead of saying, you got a big mouth, she said, you, mouth big. I said, you're right. You know what? Many people have diagnosed me with that. But if you talk too much, that's not how you get a fatty tongue. You get a fatty tongue when you're eating carbohydrates. And that's how you get sleep apnea. See, sleep apnea is not a lack of oxygen. That's not the cause. You wear a sleep apnea machine that sends oxygen up to your brain. Okay, I get it. But why is it you got a fatty tongue? It's amazing how many people get better, especially on the reset, with their sleep apnea. It's amazing. You got sleep apnea? You're a carboholic, okay? So I mentioned 13 things. Here's 14. I didn't even think about it. Now that I was thinking about homocysteine, increase in C-reactive protein. C-reactive protein is an inflammatory marker in the body. It's made in the liver. You got fatty liver, a lot of times that'll create an inflammation. Besides giving you high triglycerides, it will give you high CRP. Now, if you have rheumatoid arthritis or whatever, but this is why I always tell people, I don't care what kind, you got any kind of autoimmune disease, of course, you got to fix leaky gut and this and that. But you got to get your CRP down, and you get your CRP down when you lower your inflammatory food. You know, what food is inflammatory? Carbs. Crappy carbs, omega-6s, vegetable oils. They cook these. You go to fast food. One of the problems in fast foods is they're cooking the chicken or whatever in bad oil. If they would use a good oil, it would be much better. But that's the problem. That's the problem. When you go to McDonald's, you go to Wendy's, or you go to Arby's or whatever, and you're eating the chicken or the fries or whatever, they're cooked in terrible, never mind that the fries are carbohydrates, But that, I mean, and then they give you a double whammo because it's very high carb and then it's very high in omega-6. And the problem in your body is you need to have a balance between omega-6 and omega-3. And if you're out of balance in that, you're going to be in trouble when it comes to inflammation, which is very destructive to your blood vessels, very destructive in the brain cells, very destructive to the heart, very destructive. We got a double whammo going on in the world when it comes to food. It's carbs and then crappy, it's sugars and crappy carbohydrates are made in what they call, vegetable oils. They're far from vegetables and it's terrible oil. You can run your car on that stuff. Your body was never made to cook stuff in it. And in my book, The Reset, I talk about all the big changes. They changed our flour. They changed the oil, right? They went from butter and lard to giving us these vegetable oils. They're very cheap. They're inexpensive. And, they got a heart-healthy box beside them, and they're the farthest thing from heart-healthy. You want to, they put the heart on those things because they'll give you a heart attack. You're not supposed to eat that stuff. And don't cook in it. But if you go into the middle aisles of the grocery stores, most of the food there, it's packaged. And it's been done from, it's done with vegetable oils, seed oils. It preserves things. They last long, from crackers to cookies to, anything in those pretty well middle aisles of the grocery stores have high levels of omega-6. And this is why, and that's one of the reasons that, as we bring these two together this morning, we talked about testosterone again. Well, that's one of the reasons. And man, they're consuming way too many carbohydrates. They are surrounded by chemicals. And thirdly, they're consuming high levels of omega-6, which is very inflammatory. And this is why they're showing that even in this study, one of the things that you see as you take a supplement of omega-3, okay? And you know me, I'm very big on omega-3. I love omega-3. Eat your steak. But I also supplement. I supplement with high DHA. Because your brain is made up of DHA. DHA and EPA are found in the animal kingdom. DHA is not found in the plants. And I'm not saying omega-3, you can get some omega-3 from plants. And that's all right. You get some ALA and that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But it ain't omega-3 from like you get from fish oil or from eating steak. Eat the fat. Don't buy lean meat. Fat. And eat it. That's where all the fat-soluble vitamins are. And this is why it's so good for you. Vitamin S steak. Really important. Oh, by the way, here's another thing with testosterone, just coming back to that for a moment. You know what's really important for testosterone, men? Zinc. Zinc. Zinc's important for your prostate. Zinc is a precursor to testosterone. Guess where you find zinc again? Steak. Vitamin S. So that's really, really important. Okay, we never did get to Parkinson's. I promise we're going to do that because it's interesting. And the statistics on Parkinson's are crazy how it's going up. But I'm going to tell you why, in my opinion, that is happening. We'll look at that. Okay, we'll look at, I promise. I got off on a tangent today because I was talking, like yesterday, like I said, I just can't get over that, medicine comes out with a study on diabetes and how fast you can help a diabetic with food. How fast? It's so quick. 35% decrease in triglycerides in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. Imagine what would happen in 4 weeks. Well, I've already told you. I wrote a book about it. What happens in 4 weeks? To not only diabetics, that happens to diabetics. But it's proof in the pudding that diabetes is a food disorder. It's an insulin disorder. It is not genetics. It's not bad luck. It's not. Okay. So, tomorrow we'll probably hit the Parkinson's one, unless something really exciting comes up. Because I always like to pontificate, and I'm watching the health news for you, okay? And I want to bring it to you on the Doctor Is In podcast and live. Okay, so thanks, guys, for watching today. We appreciate it, all the feedback. And if you're not a member of the Martin Clinic private Facebook group, please do that. We love you guys. We appreciate, get your friends, get your family. You can influence people. I happen to be very fortunate because I got a big audience, okay? We talked about it yesterday. We're averaging about 50, 60,000 people a week and then millions of downloads on podcasts, and that's good. We appreciate that. You have no idea. But, you don't have a venue like I have, or at least I don't think you have. But you do influence certain people, So, share this and, keep preaching it. You live it, though. You live the lifestyle. I know you do. I know you're the choir, and I'm just pumping up your tires to live this lifestyle, okay? And you know what? It really does pay big dividends as far as your health is concerned. Okay, love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.